Previously on AFTN.
If I tell my kid that his teacher is a bonehead or something like that, you think my kid's gonna respect the teacher then? If I keep harping on how bad the teacher
Who
is,
is this teacher?
No, it's nobody in particular.
The difference is your kid is of an age where they are more influenced by you than hopefully an adult is influenced by their adult coach.
Ms. Hicks and Ms. Cassim are great teachers.
But
Welcome to another episode of the AFTN podcast, broadcasting live from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of British Columbia. My name is Steve.
I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And I'm Chris Corrigan.
Joining us live on the phone. We're an hour early today. Obviously, if you're excited about that, you could take your shirts off if you want. If you are on a yellow card, I recommend not doing it.
Oh, man.
So definitely join us and be part of the conversation. But Vancouver did bounce back from that 6-0 drubbing last week. They did have a positive result, even though a lot of people still are not positive about the team. 2-0 win against RSL. Obviously, what's your guys' overall thoughts on the game, first of all? Michael wanted us to compare it to what episode of Star Wars this was. I don't think he realized Avengers is the movie that came out this week.
Yeah, he's not always up on
not the pop culture. So either you could compare it to an Avengers movie or a Star Wars movie. What would you compare it to?
Chris, you go first. You're the guest.
I think it was like Inception. Actually, it was just like going from one dream world into another. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of like the first half was more of the same, and the last half hour was great, but the first words out of my mouth after the bug took his shirt off were Capsy, because here we were going to win the game, but we were going to lose another player to a red card for taking his shirt off in the goal celebration. So overall, I like the energy that we had. I liked what I saw from our players towards the end. I mean, we got a good result. A result against the team we should have got a result against. But I think the movie I would go with would be Inception, because it's just like I'm not even sure what world I'm in anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. If Star Wars, if I went with Michael's Star Wars idea, it might feel like, well, it can't be Attack of the Clones. Maybe Revenge of the Sith.
I don't know. It's hard to. There's only 7-8 movies.
Yeah. Maybe more like Rogue One. No, I guess that doesn't work well.
Or maybe it could be Han Solo, the one upcoming, because then nobody knows what that's going to be like, and nobody knows what the Whitecaps.
And the main character in that, the main actor,
is messed. Yeah.
Yeah. Not sure if that's a fit yet.
But if you were to grade it on a score from 1 to 10, what would you put it on?
Oh, I think it was at minimum a 7, 7.5 at the very least. In terms of the result,
yeah,
performance was There's still
result. It's a 10 because they won. It's a result, right? That's nothing they've had for the last 3 games. But performance wise, I think it was a 5 or 6 for me.
Oh, that low?
No, because of they really won it in the last 15 minutes. I feel, or even the last 30. I felt like if it was a better team that they were playing against, that it would have been a different result.
I'm satisfied with the result, but not satisfied in general. So it was a good, I think I'd say 7.5 an 8. And in the last half, there was some like stuff that I love seeing, like the pressing, the energy, the havoc creating in the box. I love that when our team does that. I love when our team gets numbers in the box and just creates a havoc for everybody. So, there was lots of stuff that I saw that I want to see a lot more of, not just in sort of bits and bobs.
Obviously, let's start off with what began the game, the starting lineup.
Yeah. Lots of changes.
Yeah, lots of changes. Obviously, he promised there would be lots of changes, and there were. Carl Robinson. What are your guys' thoughts about the changes? Obviously, they were able to keep a clean sheet as opposed to giving up 6 goals. So that's a positive. But overall, what did you guys think of that lineup and how it fit going into the game?
When I heard about it, I was like, okay, this feels like a bit of a gamble. But I was honestly, the thing that stood out for me right away was we were going to get to see Brett Levi's.
Yeah.
And that was super exciting, and I think he performed well, so that just felt really good. But both fullbacks were not who many people had
penciled in
as starting fullbacks for the season, anyways. And I don't know. I kind of liked what happened there, because it felt like more like, okay, Sean was going to stay home more, and Brett was given a little bit more license to get forward.
But then they switched because Sean Franklin, he moved up quite a bit too. He was up.
But that was more later on.
Later on. For me, it reminded me. Was it against RSL when that first season? I think an assistant coach basically did the lineup, and you got Nizar Kalfin in there, and you got and they actually came out with a win.
The 3-0 win at BC Place?
Yeah, was it
that was well, yeah.
Was it Colin Miller who did the lineup?
I think Colin Miller only did the lineup for the very last game.
Was it or something like that? It was
and still couldn't put Phil Davies in the 18.
Yeah, but it was interesting that kind of reminded me of that, where it was like they just kind of made changes because they needed to make changes.
Yeah, I loved seeing Ali G with Rusty in the middle of the park. It feels like Rusty's really earned it, and again, I think put in another really quality performance. And it was great to see Ali G reassert himself in the middle of the park as what feels like hopefully our dominant central midfield destroyer.
I love that pairing. I think Rusty has. It feels like to me this is the first time we've got to see him allowed to play the game he wants to play, in the position he wants to be in. And, when I saw the lineup come out, I thought to myself, when was the last time we started 3 residency products in an MLS game?
I can't recall. Honestly, maybe it was definitely a Canadian Championship game.
Yeah,
we did that.
MLS, that's exciting to me, actually. And I thought it was great to see Brett. I was so excited to see him. I thought he did really well.
Who remind me?
He's been off for.
Who was the third? You, Brett, Rusty,
and Davies.
Oh well, Davies came on a sub.
He came on,
but he appeared. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he didn't start.
That was probably one of the things that at least some people were probably surprised about as well, is that Davies wasn't in the starting. He wasn't in that starting 3 in the 4-2-3-1. That it was Shea, Teixeira, and
but
Much.
it was apparently food poisoning he got.
Yeah,
in the
apparently,
yeah. Look at the way he plays with food poisoning. God, I mean, he is like he's having an incredible year. I mean, he's just found. I still say he may be the best dribbler I've seen us have in the MLS era. And he's our best two-way player by a long way. I mean, something has just popped into the next level this season.
Yeah.
Well,
let's to see him come on.
The other person was Jordan Much, got back in the team.
Yeah, and we'll discuss him later.
Yeah.
But obviously, let's talk about the first half. It wasn't. There was that early chance, and first of all, did you guys think that this was a repeat of Reyna missing and
totally.
then Blondell missing?
I was standing next to the Hammer, John Moore, and when they went around, sort of had that chance missed, I turned him and this is deja vu, and it was just like what is going on, and it felt, or maybe Chris, was that Capsy to you or
no? What Blondell's missed?
Yeah.
No, it was actually good defense, actually. I mean, it was a really... If that had been against us, I would have been praising my center back for getting back like that.
I saw the replay. It was a clear miss. Yeah, I saw the replay. I feel like the ball kind of slowed down all of a sudden. It almost came to a stop. It didn't go with where Blondell was going. It kind of seemed like it stopped. It found a dead spot in the pitch.
It's almost like there's big, huge rides that sit on that pitch.
Yeah, something was there.
or trucks or boats or something.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. I have to go back and look at that, but I thought, it felt to me like he was due. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a great run, and that gave a little bit of confidence. I mean, that was one of the highlights of the first half. I'm not sure I can
It was
remember.
Glad who got the touch, right?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
How much
It was good defending?
How much credit do you guys give RSL for nudging the ball away on that one? Was it all Glad, or do you feel like it was something that just screwed up at that point?
No, I like I said, I think I looked at it again. I was the opposite end when it happened, but I think looking at it on the highlights, I've only seen the highlights once. Maybe I'll look at them while we're on here. But I think it was defending. Like I say, if it had been one of our center backs doing that, I'd be like,
yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Chris. In the stadium, I thought, oh, no, did he just screw this up? But then when I saw the replay, I was like, okay.
There were some calls for penalty too from a lot of people thinking that Glad actually just took him down and not even made contact.
No.
Well, some people did. Yeah, you could tell.
That was a good tackle.
Well, then later on, Teixeira blasted over for the Caps. Sky did, and then Corey Baird for RSL hit the bar.
And then the rebound went to Severino.
Yeah, and he, luckily Marinovic was there to smother it at that point. But that looked scary at that point because that looked similar to that 3-0 goal. But a little farther out in Kansas City, but it was kind of similar angle. And I wonder if people got the book on Marinovic that they can exploit him there where he's not in the right position and they could go for that far post.
Well, I don't know that he wasn't in the right position.
No, I'm just wondering if people saw the goal last week and they've seen it, like him give that up, and they maybe are trying to take shots from a distance because they think that he's maybe plays far out off the line or something like that.
It was a good shot, and it didn't go in. So give him credit to covering as much of the net as he needed to. I mean, he reached for it too. Like he backed up and took a shot at it. So.
I think that might be like the keeper and Steve coming out his analysis there. But I know I was kind of a little shocked that Severino didn't get more on the follow up.
Yeah,
and it felt a little bit fortunate on the Teixeira miss. That was poor, and I don't think Christian's been as bad as I think some people have given him flack for. But I think someone close by to me did say it would be nice to have like a DP attacking player to, in those kind of positions to finish those off more consistently.
Possession obviously was a big key as well. At the half, it was almost 70-30. I don't think it improved throughout the second half, but RSL wasn't really able to do much with it. Do you think that it was Vancouver's thing where they just wanted to give it up and just play that, just hold, like kind of let them make the mistakes because they knew they were not that great of a team and they just wanted them to make a mistake so they could counter on and take their chances there?
One of the things that kind of bugs me about our style in general is how much space we give opposition teams. And when you have a team that is ostensibly as bad as RSL, I don't understand why we're not in their face all the time forcing turnovers. To concede 70% possession to a team that was really never going to score, except maybe on a really big long shot like the ones that they took in the first half. To me, it's the pressing and the energy that was needed it's kind of typical of the way we play. I mean, I know Robbo came in and said the last half hour was kind of typical of our team. It's like, I disagree with that. I think it was an anomaly. I think what's typical is how much space and time we give teams. And I don't understand why we're not, pressing the hell out of, ostensibly bad teams and forcing the mistakes.
Yeah, it seems like they just they treat all the teams the same. Like they would treat Atlanta the same as what RSL is, and clearly RSL doesn't have the same talent level that Atlanta does. Zach?
I don't know if they fully just sat back. I think one of the things that ended up in the overall picture of the game that it felt like RSL played a bit of a higher line.
Yeah,
and the Caps kind of tried to counter as they normally do, like be okay with not having the ball and being direct when they do, being very quick in moving forward when they do. And then ultimately in the second half, and maybe I'm jumping a little ahead here, Steve, but in the second half, it was just like, okay, we know we have a difference maker on the bench who can exploit that space with his pace and or with linking up with teammates, and that's really what turned the game.
Breck Shea at one point, that's the one I was talking about earlier, hits the bar.
Yeah.
Backspin, hits the post.
Nick kissed the post.
Yeah.
Nicked the post.
Immediately You see him on the replay, especially on the TV broadcast, looking up in the sky. Do you think it was going to be that kind of day where nothing was going to go right for the Caps?
Well, he didn't make great contact, right?
No,
Like,
he bounced it off the ground.
Yeah, it was not a very
that
technical, clinical kind of.
Ali Ghazal did that later on too, same thing. But
Yeah.
this time Ramondo had to come up with a save.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
Do you feel like he should have maybe tried to head it in or something like that? Go into the ground and head it or something? I don't know what other
No,
option.
he's got great feet. He's a good finisher.
Yeah.
I have I would not criticize his shot selection in that moment. I mean, the look on his face is priceless. Like, if you look at the highlights again, he's like, his jaw's on the floor. And honestly, like, have you ever seen a shot like that bounced off the crossbar, backspins, and then just sort of like wheels off the post and away?
Yeah,
Like, it was ridiculous. That was Capsy.
Yeah, see, I agree with you, Chris. He can finish, and I was okay with his choice of how he tried to finish. It was just the actual technique and actual quality of the finish. Like you contrast that, for example, with his goal away to Columbus.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're like, that's a high level of inconsistency,
for sure,
right?
yeah.
Like he just smashes that one. It felt like he almost wasn't even trying in Columbus, and this one, it was just it didn't feel easier necessarily, but it.
You know what though? Props to Franklin for that cross. He put it on a dime for him. I mean, it was waist height and perfect. I mean, I did think that Shea kind of shanked the cross a little bit, but Franklin's cross was outstanding.
Hey, it's Franklin.
It's Franklin.
Good
Coming
show.
over to play. Yeah.
Now
We got that one going.
Nice.
Just after the 70th minute, Chera's booked for a challenge on Ramondo. Will that make a difference in the game? Stay tuned later. But in the 75th minute, Mosqueda gets called for a penalty.
Okay, wait. Can we go back?
Okay,
can we go
sure.
back there for 1 second?
Okay.
Okay. How much contact was there? I haven't looked at all the replays of that play.
They didn't show too many replays. No, funny enough, MLS didn't put anything on there.
Someone told me that there was like zero to no contact. He was just in the vicinity.
But the referee, from where he was situated, I think he might have just assumed there was contact because the way Ramondo must be going to Cirque du Soleil because he spun around really well on that one.
So regardless of what happened later in the game,
Yeah.
I honestly, in one sense, I wouldn't have a problem for a yellow card for that, even if there wasn't significant contact, because it is a bit of a dangerous play.
Yeah.
Like
He's got his foot extended.
Yeah, he's got his foot extended, and you're putting your foot right in the alley or the space where you know his foot's going to come through.
Yeah.
And so, there's times I've seen calls given where the contact isn't there, but the intent or the level of danger or risk or whatever involved.
Yeah.
I remember once watching a game of an English team, and a guy was in the Premier League.
Sure.
Yeah, my favorite league.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe you saw it. It's something in the Premier League.
And a defender slid in front of Steven Gerrard and didn't make contact, but Gerrard kind of went down, and they still gave the penalty because the guy, although he didn't take him out, he had made changed the trajectory
of the shot, or the chance.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like we said, 3 minutes later, Mosqueda, I know he probably oversold it.
Oh, did he ever?
But there was definitely he was grasping at his waist, the defender. I can't remember who the defender was, but he was grasping at the waist, and it definitely from a quick glance, it looked like a takedown.
It was Matt Beasler's little brother.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Former lumberjack. He, that again in the section, Chris. I don't know how you saw it, but from the angle we had over in our corner, I was just like, oh no, he's gonna get booked. Like I thought he oversold it. And then watching the replays, I understand why the ref gave the penalty. How did it look from where you were?
Well, I was right on top of it. Yeah, it looked like a penalty to me. We didn't really doubt it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, penalty happens. Teixeira, after the penalty gets called, Teixeira is kind of chirping Ramondo. It doesn't really get shown on the video. Me and Michael saw it from above. He's chirping Ramondo because he's upset about the yellow card earlier that Ramondo did, right? So he gets up to the penalty. He's definitely standing there. Blondell's nearby, but he does take it, finishes it, and then immediately takes off his kit. And Michael called it right away. I think there were on every broadcast it was called right away. He took off his kit, and they knew it was done.
Here's the thing. I don't forget about being on the yellow card or whatever.
Yeah.
You should not be celebrating a goal, let alone a penalty,
Yeah.
by taking your shirt off when you're wearing one of those things underneath.
Yeah.
those
you
testing
should,
things.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. You should that
It
should be
essentially looks like a bra.
like a man's sports bra thing.
Yeah.
You
called
should.
it a telemetric man bra.
Yeah, you look like I can't remember that U.S. women's player.
Brandy Chastain.
Yes, Chastain.
Yeah.
You look like.
Well, no, I wouldn't say you look. You just look like you're just like. It's more like, what are you wearing? Like, what's going on? You have two things on there. It doesn't look. Like, I was just.
So you're saying from the fashion sense,
from a fashion sense, you should never do that.
Yeah.
You should know.
But was it an homage to Eric Astley to share?
No, it was not an homage because he was not wearing another kit underneath.
It wasn't an homage at all. His head was like clearly you could see from what you guys are talking about the way he was chirping Raimondo and stuff. He was fired up.
Yeah,
his head was out of the game at that point. And the penalty was beautiful, by the way. Side netting had him going the wrong way, and he was just like he was full of piss and vinegar, and he ran over to the curva and took his shirt off. And, we all just held our hands held our faces in our hands.
Chris, is it? I mean, obviously, you can look back and the victory gets secured in the end. Is it easy to forgive someone for making that kind of error, even though it's seemingly so basic and so small? It didn't cost them in the end. Should it be easily overlooked by Cap supporters?
Well, first of all, the red card. He's obviously going to miss the next game. In Minnesota, he's not going to play.
It's
there.
a road game.
He wasn't going to play there anyway. So maybe it is forgivable. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I mean, can I just say, him being the shortest guy on the pitch, I think at one point, maybe you saw this better, Zach, but like a bunch of players surrounded him and tried to hide him.
Yeah.
So the referee wouldn't see that he'd taken his shirt off, but the bra was a giveaway, right?
Yeah.
It was like, what?
I agree with you because the first player that chased him basically was trying to almost like be really big.
Kendall, was it Kendall?
No, it wasn't somebody. It was somebody else, but he tried to like put his hands up and try to mask that his jersey came off. But the RSL players all had the universal sign for yellow card.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. No, I mean, no, I'm not going to hold it against them. God, what are you going to do? I mean, it was a brain fart, and it didn't cost us. If it had cost us, I'd probably feel differently about it. But at the end of the day, I'm glad he got a goal. He needs something from a set piece, and he's, and he gets a couple of weeks off. So
when you compare it to I think it was Matthias Lau. Remember, he got that second yellow card for grabbing the ball with his hand because he thought he'd been fouled.
He thought he'd been fouled. Yeah,
like that one. And then we lost that game or whatever, and that felt like
that was harsher,
more heinous.
Or Davidson's headbutt.
Oh yeah,
in Toronto.
Yeah. Like dumb moves. I mean, some of those are dumb moves. And to be fair, like even Hosley's move was kind of dumb, but
But I thought he could I think he thought he could get away with it because he had a second kid underneath.
And I think he had done that in Switzerland. Like he had gotten away with it before. I think.
I'm going to ask him. I'll find out.
Okay, so everybody's thinking, they got to, it's going to be squeaky bum time, as Michael likes to say. But for 15 minutes because they're down a man. Now, but with Davies coming on, he actually takes over the game at that point with a couple of runs. And then the second time, it made big difference. He was able to cross the ball down the thing.
Well, the first time Nico whiffs, right?
Nico, I think
that was unfortunate.
But the second one, it was going to cross the 6-yard box, and it was going across. I don't think it was heading in the net.
No, we had a great angle of it. It was not going in the net until the defender touched it. Then it was going in the net.
But it would have been own goal at that point. It would have been
own goal.
And then Blondell tapped it in.
Yeah, I thought it was an own goal at the time. Fonzie, it was a cross.
Yeah.
And Fonzie said as much when people were like calling him out for, it's too bad you didn't get your goal. He's like, no, it's like it was a cross. I crossed it to him. He could see Blondell coming down the right side. It was a beautiful cross. It was just curved, perfectly weighted. The defender, might have put it in, but Blondell finished it. I don't think there's any controversy there at all.
And you have to
exactly what he intended to do.
You have to finish those things because you don't know what's going to happen. You can't just say, Davies did such a good play, I'm going to let him have it. Anything can happen. A backspin can happen. It come back out.
No, I saw some perspective shared, negative perspective shared about his celebration as well on Twitter or whatever. Someone was like, it was a tap-in goal and blah, blah, blah,
But it was his first.
I know.
Yeah.
It was his first, and it sealed the game.
Basically, yeah.
No, what I don't understand. No, I think the issue, Zach, was that people were concerned that he didn't go over and congratulate Davies.
Yeah, Davies is fast. He'll catch up to the celebration.
I know. I mean, Davies was doing his own thing, too. I mean, there was like two, sometimes that happens, right? When you get a cross and the players go to like, great cross or great goal. I mean, that's just what I mean. I don't think there's any controversy there at all. I'm really happy Blondell got his goal. He really looked the part, actually, on Friday. And and Davies was amazing. He was amazing, and that was a world-class cross that he made for that goal.
The sheer elation on Tony's face when he scored. He's just like, yeah, okay, let's get the ball rolling for this kid. Like he's got goals. He's got goals in him.
He does, and I thought it was an own goal actually, because there were a bunch of us jumping up and down with no shirts on at that point, trying to do something dumber than what the sheriff and I couldn't see, so I saw the defender come back, and I saw the goal go in, and I actually, for a moment, I had this little heartbreak that Blondell didn't get it. I felt like he was right there. I was sure that was a goal.
So, Chris, did you just swear, or did you just press a button on your phone there?
No.
Chris, if you're going to go topless, it's okay if you guys wear the sports bras underneath.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah,
for next
just not for players. Just not for players.
Now, obviously, there was still about 10 minutes left and about 6 minutes of injury time, which turned into 8 minutes or whatever it was.
6 minutes?
Yeah, it was something.
So where did that come from?
I don't know.
That was, I know where it came from. It was a punishment for each goal given up in Kansas City.
Oh, was it? No, but obviously, RSL really didn't have anything going, and the only thing that really came up in that last little bit was Davies getting hurt. He was actually stepped on by one of the RSL players. I think it was inadvertent, but it's hard to tell.
That was scary.
Yeah, and then he got up and he went to the half line, but then fell down again. And they were just complaining. Whitecaps were wanting the ball taken out. Referee didn't call anything.
No, okay. I'm sorry. When that happened and we saw that, we was talking to Hammer again, and it was just like, no. If that was the other way around, if Vancouver had the ball and the guy got stepped on, it's not a hand injury. You play on.
Yeah. But then Wasson got heated with the coaches, and he eventually ended up with a yellow card. So he's one away from getting suspended.
Well, you know why he got that, right?
Yeah.
He heard that Joe Deasy in the preview show had said that, I think it was Joe Deasy, said that my prediction for the game is Kendall will get a yellow card.
Oh, beautiful.
Thanks, Joe.
He's such a supporter's favorite, Kendall. He'll go that extra mile.
Were you concerned that the team was going to implode at that point, even though with a 2-0 win? Because it's just been crazy the last couple of weeks.
No.
As soon as Tony's goal went in, the game was over.
Yeah.
It felt like not even this can get thrown away.
Yeah.
1-0, the 1-0 in the sending off, you're like, oh no, this is going to be 1-1 or they're going to lose 2-1 or whatever. But no, it was.
I actually even felt like we have done well at home with 10 men. I mean, it's almost a standard in the South Side now that we chant 10 men. You couldn't beat 10 men. You couldn't beat 10 men, because it's just like we're often walking off the pitch having got points with 10 men on the pitch. And I felt like after the first goal, actually, it felt like the way we were playing was going to get us the win. The second goal sealed it for me, and I was shocked that there were 6 minutes of added time. I mean, I was like, did I miss a stretcher bearer event? I don't know what happened, but I thought we were good for the win.
I agree with you about the history of there have been some good results down a man, but for me, the current form and the current psyche, I thought I thought the things could crumble here. I 1-0. I 1-0 down. I 1-0 down.
I'm a charter member of the Optimist.
That's right.
Now, last thing before we go to break, there's apparently a new section that Michael wants to start. It was requested by public to him. It's called the Fine Lines Moment of the Match.
Boo.
What do you guys think it was? There's a couple of suggestions. Maybe Blondell's mails early on. Shea's shot off 2 posts. You call it being like capsy. But was there anything there that you felt like fit that kind of moniker? I'm not sure what that means.
I don't like the moniker.
I don't even think it should be. It really doesn't count when you win 2-0. I think it's just like you don't want to do a man of the match when you lose.
I'll tell you though. I mean, I don't mind the moniker. I think if there was a fine line that we could have ended up on the, I mean, in a way, it's like what would have happened in that game that in the press conference afterwards it would have been fine lines.
Oh.
So for me, it's that shot that went off the crossbar. If that had gone in, I feel like it would have been a disaster. Partly because I think it would have affected the team negatively, but I think it would have completely deflated the crowd. I think it would have just been like, yeah, here we go, getting beat by a crap team at home. So I think if there was a fine line that we ended up on the right side of the fine line this time, but I think it was that shot.
You're talking about the Corey Baird shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris, why do you like the moniker?
because I just think we just hear it so many times. So let's call it out. Let's see where the fine lines are. I mean, it goes. Maybe we're going to talk about this, but I think it just goes to the overuse of the term and the kind of ubiquitous use of the term to explain why we didn't win a game. I don't think it's always fine lines that we didn't win a game with, and I think that term's been overused. And I think it's kind of like calling it out is fine. And the truth is that in football there are fine lines. It is sometimes a game like that. I mean, when you're 6-0, I'm not sure.
That's not definitely no fine lines in there.
No.
But we will talk about more about that, like you said, after the break.
Hey, I'm Brett Levis, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Obviously, the Whitecaps broke their 3-game losing streak as well with that 2-0 win. Let's discuss it more. But before we continue discussing, I'm going to play some coaches' audio from Robbo and Mike Pecky. So here it is.
For about 70 plus minutes. Mike, what do you take out of this one?
Hey, it's a cruel game. It's a cruel sport sometimes. Carl and the Whitecaps have been going through some rough times over the last few games. I've certainly been there with not only RSL in my career. They were bound to come out at some time. And we, of course, didn't want it to be against us, but that's the way it works sometimes. But I'm very, very happy and proud with the way my team played for 3/4 of the game. But at the end of the day, we didn't put the ball in the net, and they did.
How about those young kids in the back end again?
Yeah, I mean, not only them defensively playing well, but just the calmness in the ball they had tonight was something that I know they all had it in them, but we haven't really seen just for bits and pieces throughout the season. And to come up to a difficult place like this where we maybe had, one result here ever? And to play like that, there's something positive to take out of this loss for us.
Was fatigue a factor in the second half?
No, I mean, they were just as tired as us, definitely no excuse there. I think we just need to be a bit more selfish when we get into the final third tonight, a bit more clinical on our shooting and our placement. Overall, though, besides that, they did well.
With the team, the way it was set up and everything like that, usually you come into a visiting side comes in and they got to hold on and defend. Was it difficult to be the team that has to be the aggressive one? And have
it was fun. It was a pleasant surprise for us. We talked about specifically the first 15, 20 minutes of this game, and we might have to be back because they're coming off of the 3 losses and things haven't been going well. They're going to be fired up and pumped up, and it felt like we grabbed control right away. But listen, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the Vancouver team because I've been there before. They're a quality team, and they're just through rough times right now. So we kind of look to take advantage of that, and then they got behind us 2 times and they made us punish.
Things got heated at the end there, obviously, and you're not going to tell us what was said and everything on the field, but is it just frustration on both sides, just trying to get a result? And
yeah, I mean, listen, they were upset we didn't kick the ball out of bounds, but I mean, Davies got up and he ran back to midfield and then went down again. So if he was that hurt, I don't think he would have got up and ran back to midfield. We're losing 2-0, and we're gonna try to push it. Obviously, the ref's at discretion; he can stop the game anytime he wants. Of course, they took deception of that. Maybe I don't blame them, to be honest with you. Maybe it would have been the same way. But hey, it's part of the game.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, prior to the first goal, the bounces weren't going our way. We were hitting posts and missing chances going around goalkeepers, but we kept at it. A lot of character shown today by the group, which was important. I know we've got a good group in there. What we lack for in quality, sometimes we make up for in spirit. And I thought the last half an hour showed what we're about. I thought he was excellent from the first few minutes when I wish he would have got a goal then, because I think you'll see a very confident young player. But it was pleasing that he got his goal later on, the reward for the hard work that he put in. Thank you. That during the game, and if you put the work in, you get the rewards out. I keep saying that to you, and he deservedly got his goal today.
With the transfer window closing soon, do you have any plans of maybe moving anyone on or bringing someone in?
There's lots of conversations that go on, Michael. A lot of it is fluff. They're trying to find out what you're interested in doing or not doing without actually any substance to it. So Obviously, if you're a free transfer, we can still sign players after the deadline. But I'm sure after the weekend's results, people will concentrate on the games like we did tonight, and then we'll talk. But, we're always in talks with players.
This game could have gone badly after Chikara was given the yellow card and tossed out. As a coach these days, you're down 10 again, big time.
Yeah. Do I bang my head? Yeah. No, I don't bang my head. I was disappointed he got sent off. I knew it. Sometimes emotions get the better of it, and I spoke to the group this week about it. We need to keep 11 men on the field, and we didn't. We kept 10. I don't actually think the first yellow is not a yellow card, I believe, because I was told that he didn't touch the keeper. So that's a disappointing thing with the yellow card system. But he should keep his shirt on. But adrenaline sometimes in front of the passionate supporters takes over you. So it is what it is.
First 60 minutes, Carl, not a lot of people in the stadium probably thought it was going to end up the way it did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so you were happy with the first 60 minutes?
I was happy that we won the game. And I think you're always looking at it doesn't matter when you score a goal, you got to win the game of football. We won the game of football today, and it was great character shown by the group of players.
Abuse you guys have taken over this past week.
Yeah.
What kind of statement does this game say to the supporters?
No statement. No, we wanted to go out and win a game of football. I prepared my players for it, like I did last week and like I will next week. And we can only concentrate on what we can control. We can control performances. We can control hard work. If you get a little bit of luck along the way, which we did, and then obviously get 3 points on the board. So we'll enjoy the weekend.
So that was the gaffer, Carl Robinson, and Mike Pecky of RSL talking about the game. Anything interesting come out of those comments for either of you guys?
I think the comment about, I think it may be a little overplayed, but the comment about what we lack sometimes in quality, we make up for in spirit. It's funny, like at this time, it's kind of like everybody's reading into stuff that he's saying. And
it's that damn that article, ESPN article. Yeah, that's kind of like got everybody in a tied in a knot now.
Absolutely. It sounded awkward. It sounded like an awkward press conference. I mean, you were there. What did you think?
Oh no, I was with Mike Pecky. He was in a good mood, even though we lost 2-0.
See, Chris, I think that comment and the stuff in the ESPN is similar to some other things he said in the past, and I think it's his way of saying, "Look, we have limited." We've been given limited resources to use on the squad, and we do the best that we can with them. And on paper, again, this might not fully apply to RSL, but on paper, often they're going to be the underdog on paper.
Yeah.
And so it's his job to galvanize his players as best he can. And so I think we talked about this last week, Steve. If they're it's them against the world. It's a siege mentality, right? Everyone's against us. Let's go out and prove them wrong. And so. Right. It's not uncommon in football, even at higher levels.
Yeah,
right.
And so you're basically saying it's not fine lines. He's going between the lines on this one.
Oh man.
Earlier in the week, there was a video put out by the province YouTube. I think both you guys saw it. Paul Chapman. He was talking about how the honeymoon's kind of over. That's basically the gist of it. That they need to actually show something now. You can't just rely on atmosphere and stuff like that. There has to be things on the pitch. What did you guys thoughts of that?
Well, first, for me, I wish I had a 4-year honeymoon. The honeymoon was over a long, long time ago. There's no honeymoon.
I think from the mainstream media, it has been going.
That's because they just don't pay attention.
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
And then that's not a knock against Paul Chapman, because he's a football person. He appreciates the game. He watches it. He follows it. I have quite a bit of respect for him, but. I just didn't like the metaphor he went for. But in terms of I think what he said, I think it's I don't think it's rocket science. I think for those, and Chris, you might be similar. For those the closer you are to things, the more you know about the problems that there are, and more you know about not problems. The more you know about how things operate, and maybe more how you feel how they could be different.
It's the reality, is what you're saying. Is like the more. I mean, and not everything's transparent, so not everybody gets to know everything. I mean, there's just lots that goes around on all that. I think it's interesting to me, and it's interesting the way you said it, Zach. It's like he is always often alluding, or at least we read it this way. He's often alluding to the fact that he does the best with the resources available to him. I think what's happening now is that I'm not sure that everybody believes that we're doing the best with the resources we've got, and I think that's the. I think the owners and the FO. Bear a lot of responsibility for the choices that are made and how we put together the squad, for sure. And if efficiency is one of their management goals, then they're clearly choosing a business model that puts the team together on a medium budget and tries to overperform. What I think is happening, and I said this before, I said this on CBC actually when they interviewed me before the second leg of the playoff game in Seattle. I said, it almost doesn't matter what the result is tonight, but it matters how we get it. And I think that's, to me, where Robbo kind of lost me. Because, I mean, after the first leg, it was dire, and it was, but I could understand it tactically. After the second leg, and you look at the totality of that two-leg series, and then what we've come back with is slightly different, remade the squad, like, substantially, but it's sort of like this regress to the mean. It's like our style hasn't changed. And so I think it's like the statement, we're doing the best with what we've got, I think is a two-pronged statement. And I thought that for a long time, and now I don't think we're doing our best.
Besides that one, then really the big thing that happened this week off the pitch was on Friday when there was a release statement from the Southsiders about the way they classified it, the way of building the team and putting the people on the pitch and the right players and all that stuff. And they wanted some more, people to take more responsibility for their actions. And they really, in the interview on the radio, they mentioned that it was really they were supporting the players and the people on the pitch. It was really really directed at the organization that they need to do better, and obviously they did the march a little bit later. They had hung the Fine Lines banner. I don't know if that was to Robbo or that was to the organization, but they hung that. So what are your guys' thoughts? Obviously, you guys both in the supporters kind of community and everything like that. What are your guys' thoughts on what happened on Friday?
Well, first, I want to go back to what Chris said in terms of perspective on things, in terms of doing best with what they have. I think one about the playoffs, Chris. I think that Carl himself did say after, like, okay, I could have approached things differently, and I probably would in the future. In a playoff game, so they haven't got to a playoff game to see if that would actually play out that way. In terms of their approach is we have to win, and so I don't think they care too much about the style of play. And to me, that does conflict with the history of the Vancouver Whitecaps, because I think Bob Leonarduzzi has often prided himself on the fact that he has said we play attacking, attractive football. Maybe not in those specific words, but in similar expressions. And he hasn't been able to say that for a long time. And so to me, it's like if you want to go to the root of the problem, to me, the coach is an easier target, right? And so And it is probably harder to get more people worked up to understand or to fully understand this whole squad makeup thing and the lack of investment in DPs in the way that they're allowed to, like not fully using what they're allowed to. And but to me, that needs to be the focal point. That needs to be where where things are pushed at or pointed to. Because if you just spend all your energy on focusing on the coach or whatever, a new coach is going to take a long time to change the squad and change things, and it's highly unlikely they would bring in someone who's going to be given more control than what we currently have, and it'll be more of the same. And Brett Bird in the past on Twitter has said, we've been in MLS for X number of years. Players have changed, coaches have changed, The thing that hasn't changed is those who are making those the football committee, those who are making those decisions. And so, I for me, Chris, it's like I don't even want to have I don't even. I want to go to the source. You know, let's go upstream and deal with the issues that are upstream instead of dealing with the issues that are further downstream. Even though you're right, they might change things. So that's the big thing for me, and that goes into the statement from the South Side, and I respect them for longing for better. I know they've been criticized that they didn't specifically say what that looks like. In some ways, you know, they weren't. They didn't give a picture of what that looks like. I know some people have, you know, expressed concern about that or whatever, and that's fine too. But for me, the only part of things that I didn't really like is the fine lines thing, because whether they intend it as for Carl or for the UFO or whatever, it is kind of a personal shot at Carl. And I haven't asked him about it. I don't know what his feelings are on it. All I know is the two things. Well, one thing that's really significant is I haven't seen, and maybe he has done this before, I haven't seen him leave the pitch at BC Place the way he left the pitch at BC Place on Saturday.
Well, I didn't see him. I was already on my way downstairs, so I didn't get a chance to see
he sprinted off the field.
Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
And he usually just walks off the field. So I might be reading too much into something, but I don't think. And I almost thought he might come out and say something like, I thought he might poke fun at it or make a strong statement about it, and he didn't. So maybe the fact that he didn't is reading too much into it, that he didn't like it or whatever. But you know, Chris, this is all about relationships, and the one thing I worry about is has that done any damage to that relationships? One other small sign of this is the players, in conjunction with the supporters and some of the people in the front office, have worked to do a post-match celebration. It didn't really happen this game.
Yeah, well, it sort of did. I mean, it did a little bit. I mean, I would say, Bravo Bolt. Somebody on Twitter said that maybe he had the same tacos that Davies had, and he just needed to go.
That could be true.
It could be that as well. I don't. There's almost nothing I disagree with you there, Zach. Except what I will say is I would say it's large. There's a growing concern that what Carl Robinson is bringing to the club is not style that people want to watch anymore. And it's, after a 6-0 shellacking, 3 games in a row, we were looking at the points per game. We got this little surge. So we're back to 4th in terms of points per game, but we were in 8th points per game after the Kansas City match. It's like time to say something. And I do think it captures, there is a sentiment, a large group. It's not just the supporters, not just Southsiders. There's a large group of people that are wanting to see some change. I agree with you that the change needs to happen in terms of the overall approach. And I think the specifics that needs to be made to the ownership is they need a solid case about why they need to change the approach. People need to point at teams like Atlanta. They need to point at teams like Dallas and other teams.
Even locally, Seattle and Portland.
Kansas City. Well, the point at Kansas City, for example. I mean, Kansas City, with Vermees, they probably make the best use of the kind of efficient ownership approach that we're looking for. But in terms of the setup that we play, one of the things Kansas City does is they go recruit players from teams that play their setup, for one thing. So they're out there to integrate really fast, and you can move the pieces around. And I think that's a really smart move on Vermees' part. But Vermees has a lot more control.
Yes.
I think in terms of squad collection. So I think what we need to do eventually, is we need to make a solid case to the owners who love metrics and who love to be able to, they need a statistical case to say, we'll change our minds when you show us that we need to. What I fear is that teams are passing us by really fast. The MLS is evolving in such a rapid form, and we are wedded to a model that served us well 5 years ago and need to shake up now, and we don't see anything coming from that. And that's true of the owners, it's true of the front office, and to be fair, it's true of Robbo as well. So it is about relationship, but I would love Carl Robinson to grab a mic at the end of a game sometime and say, this is what we're doing differently, or, to speak to supporters. He speaks to the media, but he doesn't, and he speaks to the media and infers stuff that struggles that he's having with the ownership, but he never, I don't feel like there's a relationship there anymore. And so, I think it was a tough call from Southsiders to make that, put that letter out and make that protest last week because, for us, for all of us, the players are what matter, right? The players are really there. And the coaching staff has had our backing for a long time. They are indistinguishable in some ways. The players would run through a wall for Carl Robinson. That's the kind of dressing room he runs. And so it's really difficult to make a statement where you're calling on the manager to be better, to be different, or to be a different person, and to call on the ownership to be different as well. It's hard to call on the ownership to be different because they're so aloof, and it's really abstract to make a case like that. And it is hard to call on the coach because the relational stuff is just tighter. So, but to say nothing, that's part of what was in that message that the Southsiders said is like to say nothing at this time would be also irresponsible. It's like time to say something. So.
Yeah. I totally respect that. I totally respect that they long for change and they long for better. I would have left it to I would have left the coaching people out of it personally, but that's a different perspective.
Yeah, for sure. But we will enough of off the pitch. We will come back after the break, and we'll talk a little bit more about individual players and what we thought about them. And we'll be back after this.
Hi, I'm Jordan Much, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR FM radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of British Columbia. Now,
episode 263, baby.
Oh yeah, episode 2. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but I'm sure anybody who's listening to the podcast can see it in the title. And maybe Michael can splice it in somewhere where we say 263.
Michael never edits these, does he?
No, he doesn't. He just throws them up right away. Which I'm really concerned about that opening I said there. But
no, actually, he does heavy edit.
But let's get back to the players. First of all, the guy who made his debut, Brett Levis, played 60 minutes. He cramped up, obviously. It was the first game in a long time. He had that horrific injury. I think it was a couple years ago even, 2016 or 2016.
588 days.
Yeah. So what do you? He had some interesting stats. He had the most passes in the final third completed. It was tweeted out today. What are you guys' thoughts on him and how he went? Obviously, could only go 60 minutes, like he said, because he cramped up. He wasn't used to playing that much.
He said. I think he tweeted out that he had a nervous cramp. He was so peaky going into that game. I think he was excited when he got the call, and he was nervous, and I think he did great. And I was really excited to see him out there. He's a really dynamic young left back. I think he showed us what he's capable. We know what he's capable of. He bombs forward. He's responsible. I think he played well in going forward and coming back. And I was just really excited to see him out there. And I'm really happy for him that he's back in the fold and he got an MLS start.
Yeah, I talked to him and Marcel after the game. Marcel was just like, hey, is everything okay? And he's just like, yeah, I was getting a rest for a game. So good for him to get a rest, and we got a result. And Brett, it's so exciting to see a player who you've seen at so many different places kind of develop and grow. He's Canadian. He's from the prairie, so from somewhere different. And and he added something. Those who don't know, he's a converted winger. He was a winger back in the day. He was an attacking player when he was kind of coming through, and they converted him here in Vancouver to a left fullback. And Steve, you talk about that stat about most completed passes or whatever in the final third. You could see him as he got forward, just his excitement to be involved going forward and to get into things. I would have loved to have seen him with Davies together.
Oh yeah.
But anybody also seemed very defensively responsible as well. And like you said, Chris, he was up for it. He was totally up for it. And then, unfortunately, it could only go an hour, but it was great. We got to do the humble with him after the game. So that was very, very enjoyable.
Do you do that with all the players on their debut?
No. Usually we wouldn't do it on a debut, actually.
Yeah, they got to earn it.
No, not they got to earn it, because he's earned it. To us, he's earned it. Like, he's the way he's come through and fought back and all that. But usually we would wait a game or two, but yeah.
Yeah, because you never know when you get a player who just shows up, doesn't like it right off the plane, and then wants to leave right away.
Mustafa Jarju?
No,
you talking Mustafa Jarju?
obviously, you talked to Marcel. Chris, do you think this is something Marcel needs to be concerned about, or do you think it was just a one-off start? And
yeah, dude, I hope so. I hope Marcel's not complacent in his position. It's nice to have dogs nipping at your heels. I think the squad rotates. That's what's been happening this year. I can't wait to see Davey Norman get his start.
Yes.
But
yes.
The squad rotates. And I think that's good. It's a long season, and we're going to need these guys. Whatever inspired Robbo to call it, I'll give him credit for putting Brett in. He's, like I say, he seemed ready. I think Marcel should worry. I mean, I know Robbo wanted to have competition at every position. I think that's healthy, and I think Levi's is really he's gonna push Marcel. So good. It's good for Canada too to have those two guys competing.
Oh, for sure. Obviously, another player who kind of impressed and had to leave early because of an injury, Jordan Much. A lot of people don't think he's a number 10, but he set up the Blondell early chance with a nice, really quick pass into his feet. What did you guys think of his play?
Well, Chris, I want to ask you, would you call him a number 10?
No, yeah, I'd call him I think if we were playing a 4-4-2, he'd be that forward going pivot in the middle.
So like an 8. Like an attacking 8.
Yeah, like an attacking 8. I think in a 4-2-3-1, we need a DP number 10, but we don't have a Christian Eriksen, right? So in the absence, there he was stuck in that or playing in that position. I think he's good. But I think he's a good box to box attacking 8. So that's where I would put him usually.
I concur with you on that, Chris. I think he can provide something, but it's not at the level or the consistency or the total creativity that you would want. But and considering who's there and considering who was suspended and all that, I thought that was a good choice, and I thought he performed well. And
if he's miscast, he definitely did well in being miscast.
I don't think he was totally miscast.
No, he's not miscast.
He's got the attributes, but not all the attributes of a number 10.
I just feel bad.
My heart is broken for him, and I don't think that was an easy injury. I think he might be gone for a while. I do like him establishing himself in the squad and being kind of one of our regular central midfielders. And it seems bad. I don't know if you guys have heard any news or not. I haven't heard anything.
Another player who everybody was hoping would be a number 10, or obviously probably not number 10, but another attacking number 8 who's going to get miscast as a number 10, Felipe. He had some strong talk at the beginning of the week, and they actually they published it and everything. What did you guys think of that? And the fact that he didn't play, I didn't hear of any injury, but Robbo did in the postgame say he only practiced once this week. So do you think it was some kind of punishment that he was sent home from training for a week, or a lot of people had theories that something else was going on with this?
I haven't heard anything, but I'd be surprised if it was that. Well, maybe I shouldn't be surprised if it was that, but
because this the way it could have either been Robbo who didn't like what he said and sent him home. I'm not saying it was. It could have been the players who didn't like what he said, because apparently there was some hard tackles after in the training session as well, and the players didn't like it. So whoever is the leadership committee didn't want him there for the week, or they want him sent home. Was it
I think you're just reading too much into it.
Was it the FO? I don't know. I'm just a lot of people were.
It could be a lot of that. It could be all, and maybe it was him. Maybe he was just like, I don't know, I'm going to take the week off. I have no idea. But I think
he was on the bench.
Yeah.
He
was on the bench.
It would not have been the FO, because they're the ones who put his comments out on social media. And they control that pretty strongly. So they would have. If they didn't okay that, then someone else would be in trouble if they didn't like what he said.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he'll be back in the next match.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he doesn't play in this next away match.
Especially with Much away.
Obviously, Anthony Blondell scored the second goal. What are you guys' thoughts? Quick thoughts on him and how he played. I thought he did decently. I think he could have easily got 2 goals out of that game.
He's I think Robbo's even talked about him as being this raw kind of talent, and you can see that. The cool thing for me is that he's like a multifaceted striker. Like I think he's going to score lots of goals. He can play hold up. I think he can drift out wide. We've seen this in some of his videos from Venezuela, but he can drift out wide. He can make a pass. We saw he sent in Reyna in Kansas City. Like I think there's a lot there, and I think he just needs to get on a roll. and he's obviously got like the clock's ticking, right? Like May 11th, they're kind of hoping Kai Kamara will be back, so he's got to get on a roll, and then wouldn't it be amazing if somehow he got on a roll and we played with 2 strikers?
Oh,
What?
4-4-2.
No way. What?
It reminds
Yeah,
reminds me of Nick Hornby's fever pitch when he talks about watching Brazil at the World Cup as a kid, and he's just like, I didn't know you could score directly from a free kick. It's kind of like, I didn't know you could play with 2 strikers.
Right, I know.
No,
We've had a chant. We've had a chant for a while in the South Side that goes, "We all want a team that plays a 4-4-2." I think Blundell. My fear was that he was a Rivero. I was fearing that. I mean, he hadn't get a lot of starts. He was always starting. He was playing in games that he didn't get any starts. He was playing in games with red cards all over the place. We've had most of our games this year. We've been playing shorthanded. So I think I thought I really liked what I saw from him. I want to see more.
I was also concerned he was turning into like a Maddox yesterday because he was called offside a lot. There was a lot of offside calls.
Somebody complained to me. Somebody was saying, he was called offside 8 times. I'm like, yes, awesome. Get stuck in, man. Push the line. I don't want to have our team never called offside.
No, but the thing is, I think it was more timing. I think because he hadn't played so much with these players, and I think that will correct itself. I don't think it was a Maddox situation where Maddox was just drifting away offside.
There was only one to me that kind of stood out. It was when he was out wide right, and he could look across the whole line.
Yeah,
and it was a nice pass played, and he should have been able to stay onside for that. I don't personally. I don't want a Filippo Inzaghi on my team, like a guy who's born offside. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with what you're saying, Chris, in terms of you want someone kind of pushing the boundaries of that.
Well, we've had our say on the players. Let's see what you guys had to say in our rankings. Chris, you know that we don't turn off the mics for that, right?
I know. I'm singing along.
Okay, singing along. See, I figured that was the case. Zach was saying, do you want to turn this to letting it off?
I don't know.
Well, somebody has to, because usually it's Michael singing along.
I just feel bad because I'm not dancing like Michael dances.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, we're 1 hour ahead. Maybe it's this fallback time or whatever that we have.
Where is Michael again? Was he on the coast?
He's Oregon or something like that.
He's in Oregon. Okay.
He's embedding himself in there. Okay, so we'll start off with the bottom 3, and I think it was a little tougher this week because I think nobody played horribly, but the bottom 3, and it's funny, the guy who scored the game-winning goal is at the bottom, Christian Techera. I think it was because of his decision that people just thought it was such a bonehead that he deserved the bottom
So, Chris,
spot.
maybe people aren't as willing to forgive him as maybe we were
Well,
earlier.
I mean, to be fair, who scored put him at 5.2 as well.
No, that's his height, Chris. That's his height.
And then the other 2 bottom guys were in the bottom 3, other than subs, was Jose Aja and Kendall Waston. And again, I don't think they did anything horribly, but I think it was just they weren't pressured that much, so there wasn't really much to do.
Actually, I think 5'2" might be a bit generous on the height.
Top 5, from 5 to 1, we will do. Number 5 is Brett Levi's. Gets in the top 5. Russell Tybert, number 4. Ali Ghazal, number 3. Number 2 and number 1, very close, just back and forth. I was checking over it. They were going back and forth. Alphonso Davies, number 2. Anthony Blundell, number 1.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's
And I know people are wondering, can we just do a top 5 or anything like that?
I was going to ask you about that.
But if you do a top 5 and a top 3, bottom 3, and then you just got to fix the middle. It's not big deal.
What about? So I saw some people say.
And the thing is, when people do late subs, for example, the Kendall Waston red card and the Marcel Young injury, I actually take that out.
Yeah.
So I don't count it against. So late subs, even though somebody's late sub, it won't be counted against them.
So would you? Are you? So we didn't talk about this beforehand.
Yeah.
So my apologies, but would you be open to trying something different in terms of I know one person said, hey, could we just rate them out of 5 or rate them out of 10?
Oh no, but we do that. People do that all the time.
Okay, you just want something to be different.
I want to be something different instead of rating out of 10. Everybody get used to it. Okay, so some other questions we had. How many players get a passing grade this week? The not runaway winner, but the number 1 was with 58% was 5 to 8. So the people who felt 5 to 8 got a passing grade. 9 to 11 actually got 27%. So over I'm doing quick math in my head. It's not good.
Who's the 7 that failed?
85% people feel that 9 to 11 people got a passing grade minimum.
Oh, okay. That's...
And then the other ones was 10% for 0 to 4 and 3% for 12 to 14.
For you, Chris, it would have been 9 to 11, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does the coaching staff rank this week? Number 1 was 10 to 14 with 38%. 5 to 8 was 30%. 1 to 4 in the 16% range, and the bottom of the barrel was 15%.
Well,
so we can tell that 15% really don't like the coaching staff no matter what that
right.
is.
So can we talk about that for 1 second? Because we didn't talk about. So as much, Chris, we were talking about style. Maybe style hasn't fully changed, right? We can agree this game was similar to other games this year, right?
Yep.
But the things that Carl Robinson did as a coach in this game, I think, played a significant role. Right? Like you can talk about, okay, there's things that shaped the starting 11. There's suspensions, there's injuries, there's food poisoning, whatever. But ultimately, some of the changes he made were significant. He brought on Nico Mosqueda. Now, I don't know about you, but
I thought he played really well.
I thought Felipe might come in. I thought someone else might come in that place. But no, Nico came in, wins the penalty, helps win the game. He brought in Davies. Obviously, that feels like a no-brainer. But honestly, when that sub was being made, I was just like, please don't take off Brett and put Davies at left fullback.
And it looked like it, because at one point, Breck moved back to left back. Oh, he's playing left back. Then he moved forward to left wing, and then he moved back to left back. So he was keeping us on the edge, too. There.
So that when it first happened, I was like, sweet. Breck is going to left back, and Davies is free to run at this RSL defense. This is great. Yeah. So, like, those might be small things or whatever, but I think you have to be able to step outside of all the other stuff that's been happening and say, I think the coaching staff contributed well to the victory.
And the thing,
I put them in the 5 to 9 or whatever 4 to 8 category. And and all that's to say, Zach, that like because we're having a lovely day doesn't mean climate change isn't happening.
No, yeah, right.
It's like, you know what I mean. So
and that's all I was saying. Put the climate change to one side. Let's talk about this specific
game. Yeah. Okay, so. Last question we're going to go through. Will the coaching staff be able to do anything this season to redeem themselves in your eyes? 39% said have to wait and see. So they're on the fence. 32% said yes, it's too early. So that's a significant amount right there. That's almost getting close to 70%, if not 70%. Actually, over 70%. Saying that either they have to wait and see or yes, it's too early. 25% no, what's done is done. So 25% of the people that did this vote, and obviously this is not everybody, this is the people that voted in this thing, 25% are basically saying that it's done. And then they're still okay in my books is about 3%. So about 3% really have nothing against them at all so far.
Where would you be at, Chris?
I think if the coaching staff remain in position over the year and we win an MLS Cup, I will skulk away with my tail between my legs.
So hang on, I don't want to misinterpret you. Are you saying it's an MLS Cup or bust?
I think so. Yeah, I think we got to go to that level. I don't know that we can, but and I don't know that we can be coached with what we've got into that position. So, for sure, Voyageurs Cup, God, we got to win that thing. But redeem themselves, that's it. It's increasingly hard. Supporter Shield. Here's the thing: I think we've got a squad that is the deepest and best squad we've had in the MLS era. And when the lineup came out, people were like, "Oh my God, look at this line!" I'm like, you know what? We got 23 guys. We can put them in a bag and shake them out randomly, and we're going to have a decent lineup. Anyway. So for me, we've reversed the 3-game losing streak. That's good, right? We need to put together a couple more wins. We need to stay above that line. I think in the top 2, all the way along. I don't know. There's lots of things they could probably do that would stay the execution, but I don't know. It's hard.
My only concern about that, Chris, is that I agree. This squad is deeper than it's been any time in the MLS era. The problem is we've said that every year, and that's kind of partly how MLS works. As the salary cap slowly increases, it's like every team, I think, feels that way. Like, hey,
I think you said salary crap.
Yeah, you say salary.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I meant to say salary cap. That was a Freudian slip, I guess. But every year, you feel like your team gets better, and so you feel like you have – it's the whole parity thing. You feel like you have a better chance or you have a chance. But the thing is, I think when you compare to the other teams, I think that they've gotten – they've gotten even more better because of because of the TAM players are bringing in, the DPs they've brought in.
I agree.
And that's where I don't feel as my expectations are not probably in the same place as you. My desires are in the same place as yours, but my expectations are definitely not. Because it is for me, it is the kind of situation where, again, when Robbo uses that language of we need to be at our levels or above. Like, I think that's what he's saying. He's like, if our players who are, they're on these different wages, if they play at their level or above, we should be okay. We have a chance. If 2 or 3 or 4 don't, we're totally hooped.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll sign some Barcelona player that's going to retire this summer. Who knows? As a number 10.
Talking about Iniesta?
Well, I don't know.
On his way to China.
Oh, is he? So, okay, for going forward to next week, obviously Joe DZ and the guys will have their preview podcast.
You don't listen to it, do you?
Why?
They gave me credit for Joao Plata, not you.
Oh, well, that's okay. I don't think they listen to this show then, obviously.
Oh, Joe was here.
I know, not paying attention clearly. Those guys will have the preview podcast. But your guys' quick thoughts on Minnesota. Obviously, you can go to sleep early on Friday because it's not a Friday; it's a Saturday matinee game. I think
11 a.m. local,
11
our time.
So go to sleep early Friday. You don't have to worry about game Friday night. Get up early Saturday. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be lots of changes? Do you think they have a chance to get something from this? I know Minnesota's improved in the going forward.
They've lost Finley though, right?
Yeah, he's out in an injury, but in the back end they're kind of shaky there. So what do you guys think they can do?
But they brought in
Quintero or something.
Quintero.
He helped lead them to victory again today.
Yeah,
or yesterday.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think Minnesota's beatable. And I think that's again, we've been playing well on the road. No, I think we've got to get a result against Minnesota. Those are the teams we've got to beat. If you want to be, you got to be beating the teams that are organizing themselves similar to how you're organizing yourself.
I think I just hope it's not like last year. Last year it felt like, and I think that it's helped that Minnesota's gotten better because last year it felt like everyone, all the fans and all the supporters and the media. And it seemed like it seeped into the players of like, Minnesota's terrible. This is 3 points. And then they went out, scored a couple goals, and I think the players felt like, yeah, we got 3 points. And then one goalkeeping error, maybe 2 goalkeeping errors, poor defending, whatever, and it was 2 points thrown away. And I think the coaching staff looking at the schedule and looking at their, the 4 years of having the best road record in the league, I think they look at this game and they're salivating like we can get 3 points in this.
You know what, Zach? You bring up a good point, actually, and it applies to the last match here against RSL. And that is that, we've had this pattern of playing to our opposition, playing down to them.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't think we did that on Friday. Let's more credit where it's due.
Yeah.
I don't think we played down to that team. We took advantage of them. We went to the jugular. I think that's the lesson they should be taking to Minnesota.
And I think part of that was because of the 3 poor games before that and what was happening in terms of the criticism through the week. So in one sense, you could say that the South Side expressing a perspective was could be viewed as helpful.
And and obviously, a lot of criticism, a lot of friction, and everything like that this week. But let's talk about some positives after the break. How about the Canadian Premier League with some news, and we'll bring that to you right after this.
Hi, I'm Alfonso Davies, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR FM radio. Obviously, we talked about before the break about the Canadian Premier League. They basically launched the website. That's out. The logo is out. What are your guys' initial thoughts of what you saw?
Well, it's just I love it. I'm excited about it. I think the this sort of slow release is cool. There's been a little bit of news every week as they've come along and this feels like a real step forward. Some of the supporters groups I stay in touch with across the country and places like Halifax and Hamilton and Winnipeg, they're really feeling it. Like they're just ready to go. I mean, Halifax got its council approved the use of the Wanderers Park, which is a beautiful location for them. I've been there.
Just to let you know, we were going to talk about headlines, but we might as well talk it here. It is 6,500 seat stadium. It's a temporary stadium until 2019 because they want to just they want to confirm that they're part of the league and everything like that. So they're not committing to it fully, but they're going to host about 8 events: rugby, American football, and some soccer games. Yeah.
Yeah, they're ready to go in June, I think.
They are. Yeah.
So 6,500 is a little bit small, but
it's expandable.
It's
expandable,
doable,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's pop up. It's a pop up stadium.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous spot. It's like overlooks the Citadel. It's like a good march distance away from a great set of pubs and stuff, and it's lovely. No, I just think I'm excited about it.
No, I really like the logo. I was confused about it at a point because I was thinking it was going to be red initially. And then I saw like green, navy, sky navy, ocean, red, blue as they explain it. But I thought it was the way they explained it was pretty good. The only problem is how many people are going to read to find out what it means, right? But the explanation about it being part of the land, the ocean, and the sky and everything like that, I thought it was really well with the Northern Star in the middle of the maple leaf. I thought it was really good.
Yeah,
it was well done by what do they call themselves? CBI or no? It's
CSB.
CSB. I don't know. I can't remember. With so many monikers.
I'm not a huge fan of the multicolored version. I think it's fine. I think it's okay.
Well, they're going to have the red one for special games.
Yeah, I like the red one. A little
I do
more
too.
personally.
Yeah,
but for me, like I'm not the target audience for this. Like because I'm excited about this league already. Like there's not a logo is not gonna
sell you.
Not gonna sway me or make me more excited or angry or whatever. Like it's great to see them continuing to progress in terms of all the stuff that they're going to announce. So they're expect more announcements in the weeks ahead.
Well, there's a countdown on the website for the first, I think, club announcement. I think it said, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was first club announcement, and it's scheduled for the morning of May 10th.
Right.
Unless my dates or my calculation was completely off. But
May 9th or 10th. Yeah.
May 9th or 10th. Yeah.
So in addition to obviously everyone knows about Winnipeg and Hamilton, I think Chris, you talk about Halifax. You expect to hear word from there, and then obviously
Ontario,
the York 9 situation.
And today they played FC Edmonton played Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary.
Al Clasico.
Yeah.
We are speaking as a Swan Guardians member. Rovers is. Jeez, Foothills is putting together. This is their PDL team, right? So we're going to be seeing these guys, Marco Carducci in goal. We're going to be seeing them at Swangard, and they're putting together a CPL squad. They're putting together a CPL squad. Ledgerwood. They got Nick Ledgerwood.
He's a player coach, technically, I think, right? So they can pay him more.
You got Jackson Farmer, former residency player, Jordan Haynes. Mitch Burrow was on the bench, and there was a couple other players. I can't remember them, but it was a pretty solid lineup.
And
they had Sam's brother on there, Elijah.
Yeah, Elijah.
Elijah had a
They hammered
4-0. Yeah.
But that's not the
But the FC Edmonton, that was kind of I think a put together team because all their regular players are gone playing professional somewhere else.
But the win for them is that Clark was like virtually packed. So
I saw a picture of Ben Massey there in the middle.
Ben, bless him. I had guys friends in the stadium who were sending out pictures and videos of like how full it was, which was a great thing for what they're trying to do in Edmonton. Chris, a small question for you about the supporter side of things. With the Halifax, if the team is going to be called, what's it called, the Wanderers, Halifax Wanderers, right? If they end up going with that, my question for you is, now that is the name of the supporter group movement. So, do you think the supporter group movement should change the name? Do you think it's okay if they keep the name and just add like SG to it, or some other moniker to it? Do you have a perspective on that?
No, I think they've always had SG at the end of their name,
right?
Wanderers SG, and B, I think that's a great nod to the supporters. Yeah, absolutely, go for it. Call you the Wanderers. I don't think there's a need for them to be so independent in that sense. There's a good relationship there between SEA and Halifax and the Wanderers, and I don't know what they'll end up calling the team, but I don't know. There's been a bunch of names kicked around. I'm not sure if maybe it's Port City FC over for Halifax.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Their trademark is. I think their trademark now is what is it? It's HWFC, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the trademark that's connected to them. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you see an issue with it?
No, I don't. But I know some of those guys as well, and I've heard them talk about we have to, or we might have to alter our name, and I was kind of like, well, just keep it. Like it's a. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would consider.
I'd advise them to keep it and call themselves the original Wanderers or something. I just think they're obviously up to them, right? Up to them. But I think it would be a real nod to how the supporters have driven that club. And it's just been the same in Hamilton. It's been the same in most of them, but Hamilton and Halifax have had some fantastic supporters groups come on. A bunch of those guys in that supporters group, and I met with them last year, they'd never even seen a professional soccer game. And they're out there trying to land a team for Halifax. So
yeah, a lot of Hamilton guys go to TFC, but Halifax, it's
Halifax, they haven't seen a game. They occasionally go down to New England.
Yeah, as long as the FO doesn't try to trademark the name and force them to change it.
But that's the thing. Yeah. They've done it out of relationship.
Yeah, for
they
sure.
haven't just said, "Oh, we're going to take that." There's an actual relationship.
Hopefully, relationships don't change.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the CPL. Let's go back to the MLS weekend review.
No, let's talk more CPL.
We'll talk about
less MLS, more CPL, Steve. It's the future, Steve.
It is the future, and I'm all for it. But let's talk about the present MLS. We'll talk about the West Coast games, even though I do want to bring up TFC because, boy, let's talk about that, the Champions League. The CONCACAF Champions League. Wow, that was a miss. I don't know if it's still landed yet. I'm not sure.
The tweet I put out was I found a GIF of Roberto Baggio's '94 World Cup losing penalty, and I said something like, "When Bradley was in Italy, he learned a few quaint customs."
No, yeah, it was. But the thing is, I know Osorio missed it, and I know it probably didn't make a difference. But which miss was worse? I think the Bradley miss, just because it's your best player. And
he missed in the MLS Cup final.
Yeah,
too.
But the thing is, you got to give him credit though. They did win the game officially. Like, oh no, not the 2-leg tie, but they won the game.
Wait, you mean they won a game but lost the championship?
Yeah. That's salt in the wounds there.
The thing is, I know I saw those memes and all those, Chris Withers tweet about, catching the ball, and as Greg Makos in Seattle from ECS
was outside his door. You go and caught the ball from Bradley.
He's like, I caught the ball. He's like U.S. men's national team. What do I get if I give you back the ball? But the thing about that, it wasn't. I've seen far worse skied penalties.
Yeah,
like if you look.
But the thing is, usually when it's for some reason when I see worse penalties than that, it's usually the person slips or something. There was no slip.
The ultimate is Sergio Ramos versus Bayern in the semifinals of the Champions League a number of years ago.
I do remember that one.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay, so and then they came back. They drew with Chicago. I think in the penalty in the death. Sorry, Alan Gordon scored. It was a 2-2 draw. They are like bottom of the MLS with 5 points.
And they were lucky to get there, right? Because didn't Schweinsteiger get stopped on a penalty?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But then he scored.
Why was he taking a penalty for that?
Nikolic should have been taking it.
Nikolic should have been taking it for sure. And they mentioned that on the broadcast, too.
I may have witnessed Schweinsteiger miss a penalty in real life before that. It was worse than that.
You mean in person?
In person,
yeah,
sorry.
Because some people, you're right. MLS, not very many people claim that's real life, anyways. Getting back to the West, Columbus 2-1. Harrison Affle gets the first opener. Hosen ties it up. Grella gets the winner with 6 minutes to go. It was a good result for the Caps, and obviously Columbus kind of gets back to where they were. I know they started off well. They kind of had a dip, and now they're kind of winning again. And you guys see the highlights there?
Yeah, it was a nice goal by Affle, wasn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. The San Jose defense just shut off. They kind of look like the Caps sometimes. New England beats Kansas City.
Yeah.
No 6 goals, though, just the one. And that was a weird one, too. It was Teal Bunbury. It looked like he thought it was offside, and then they went to VAR, and it actually turned out to be a goal.
It was great for Western Conference teams.
Yeah.
Everyone in the Western Conference.
It was a very weird. That'll be a good offside call to be studied by referees for years and years. It just took a tick off the center back. They play it between his legs. Or something.
Something like that. And they said it came off the Kansas City player, I think.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really clear and obvious, and that's the thing. Like, what is clear and obvious? That's what the next definition has to be, I guess, for MLS.
You think it would be easier?
Yeah. You
think? Like, yeah.
Minnesota 2-1 over Houston. We talked about it earlier. At least put them ahead, Houston ahead 2-1. But then a couple of quick goals, Ramirez and Quintero from the spot.
Quintero from the spot, yeah.
Yeah, and then the winner in the 70th minute from Ibsen. Loons, they kind of end their 4-game losing streak, so good for them.
It was a nice goal for Houston. Looks like, what's his name? Kyoto is his hitting form. And But yeah, nice cross for that goal.
He's I feel like he slipped through our fingers, honestly.
Well, if he was actually going to be coming here, we don't even know if that was the case.
No, I know. I mean, because he trained with us so much and he was around, for quite a while.
Honestly, I think that's a spending thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there you go. But let's talk about just Elise. Can I just put in some props for him? What a great talent that guy is.
Yeah,
that is, man, love him. I mean, geez, dangerous.
He's a beast.
Yeah, I think they call him the Panther or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Have you seen his Panther celebration?
Yeah. Then we got the last game from yesterday. The Red Bulls beat the Galaxy 3-2. There was one goal called back for the Galaxy, but overall it was a late penalty with 6 minutes left that made the difference for the Red Bulls.
Yeah, it was a kind of back and forth a little bit there, but yeah, Dead Bull. It's kind of disappointing. The Dead Bull wins, and there's a good thing that comes from it. But it's good that good that LA dropped points. Zlatan made a pass that was led to a goal, which I don't think he often does.
I think that's called an assist.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
I think he had picked up 2 assists today, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe one was called back. One on the one.
He should get an assist on that dummy.
No, but that dummy was called back.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That one was called back. It's interesting to see his impact on their play, but ultimately, another late penalty or late-ish penalty, sees the points go to the east, which is good for if you're in the west.
Right, exactly. We rocketed up the table because of the results this week.
Oh, for sure. But another one that helped out was the Orlando 2-1 win.
Another team I never want to see win. But it was good for the
it was basically another late penalty in the 77th minute that was the difference for Orlando.
A kid this last week showed up by a youth group wearing a Orlando City Thieves lion hat. And I was just like, what is that? And he's like, my parents were just in Florida. And I was like, oh no. I texted.
You got trolled.
I texted it to some friends from Curva. They're like, just had a good laugh. But
that's great. You got your number, Zach.
Yeah, but they won 2-1 again. Another late-ish penalty.
And another result that helped out was New York City FC 3-1 over Dallas. A couple goals by Villa in a penalty, and then he finished it off in the 69th minute. It was 1-1 after the 10th minute. 2 goals in their opening 10. But Villa apparently, I think he's now got 400 goals. For club and country total, I think I saw that tweet. I'm not sure if that was 400 or another number.
He scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, he scored a lot of goals.
Yeah.
And then the final one, another one that while it didn't totally help the Whitecaps, I'm sure a lot of Whitecaps fans are pleased with it. It's a 1-0 win by LAFC over Seattle.
What a howler!
And this was again in at the death in the 93rd minute.
Laurent Simon with a hammer of a free kick.
So former Impact beats the Sounder.
A former TFC keeper.
No, oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I forgot about that too. Yeah.
Oh, that was. He'll have nightmares about that. He'll be drawing Delta's Air Tifo all about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, similar blunders have led to. You remember Robert Green? Do you remember Robert Green?
Yes.
I mean, just like where does he now? Honestly, Fry when he gives up bad goal. You remember that one here against when he was way out of the net? Who scored that?
Gersh.
Kofi?
Gersh. Yeah.
Jeez,
that was not a blunder. That was not a blunder by Fry. That was a beautiful goal from Kofi.
Well, yeah, no, it's true. But he was 40 yards from where he should be, though.
Yeah.
Still, that was delightful.
So, Chris, question for you about that match. I haven't seen everything about that match. I mean, I've seen the highlights and whatever. But did you see the post-match celebration?
No.
So in front of their supporters, Laurent Simon, with all the players around, kind of leads a version of an LA version or LAFC version of the Marius. And see,
oh yeah.
So question for you. I don't know if you saw this. So they did that and went out on their social media, whatever. Don Garber tweeted out something about Minnesota had a post-match celebration. I think they were singing Wonderwall by Oasis or something.
Yeah.
And Don Garber tweeted it out. So I got a message from a friend who was just like, do you think, because I don't know if you'll know this, Chris, but the Whitecaps are very much, we want a post-match celebration. I wonder if MLS told all their clubs, you need to have a post-match celebration.
I think the Minnesota thing was, I think Marius put them up to that, actually.
Really?
I think he was, because he was there when they were. That was last season, and he was there when that was going on, and I think he was goading them on to like really get some stuff going, similar to what he did with us.
Yeah.
I know the Caps. I know the Caps wanted to knit together something with the player celebrations afterwards, and they tried something in the first win against Montreal, and the problem was that only certain people knew what was going on.
Yeah.
So, like, the South Side emptied after the game, because that's what, a bunch of us stayed, but the South Side kind of emptied out, and then we were cheering them on. They were all coming towards us, and we were singing for them. And to have some of the Capitals go, no, be quiet. It's like, no, we don't want to be quiet. We want to sing for our boys here.
Yeah.
So I think what they need to do, honestly, is Kai's got to get on the mic.
Yeah.
And just lead it, and then we'll know what's happening, because that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
I would like to do it, though. I would love to celebrate with the players after a win, and I like that a lot.
It's how it should be done.
Yep.
Well, now for that make-believe league. And we'll take a break, and we'll come back with more stuff, maybe Wavelength. I'm not sure if we're going to do that or not. He's not here, so should we do it?
I'll give you a song.
Okay. So we'll be back after the break.
We could talk about Grimsby, too.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll be after the break.
Hi, guys. This is Felipe. Thanks for listening, AFTN.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on the CITR radio. Now, honestly, this is not the favorite part of either one of ours. It's Michael's favorite.
I like it.
Oh, so it's somebody's favorite. Well, no, it's not your favorite, but you like it.
Not my favorite. I'm just saying I like it.
Yeah.
Is this a song about Grimsby Town?
I don't know. Is this one about Grimsby Town?
No, it's actually... Now, the thing is, Michael didn't give us any information about the song itself. All we know is the title and the name. And luckily, Chris was there to tell us which one was the name and which one was the group name. Because I had no idea.
I want to say, give us the name again, the title again, Chris.
Is that the Roy of the Rovers rap? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, and it's by Vulture Culture.
And it's supposed to tie in, if I'm correct, into the Panini sticker album month of songs on Wavelength.
So we'll play it. If you like it, great. If you don't, please come back. We're going to have headlines after that.
Soccer player, going into a legend in his own left boot. The greatest soccer player? There's no doubt. He can score with his head from 40 yards out. Rock solid defense, no one can unlock it. Roy, let your left foot rock it. Roy gives a goal of fight, ball bursting in off the upright. Like James Bond, Roy shoots the grill like 009 in the fourth on the ball at will. No player can appear, nor best or Pele, or better nor Saint, or agrees on the telly. Strong, daring, broad-chested, brave, blonde hair combed back like a Mexican way. Great vision, skill of full of tricks. Outrageous dummy with an overhead kick. With the Rovers in trouble, Roy dives into a League Cup double at Wembley. So many times before, his name is written on the home team's door. Trophy cabinet is overflowing, but Roy just keeps on going. World Cup, Italian, Jobson, Racy, got a call from Bobby Robinson. With Lineker, a top strike force, twin golden boots, scoring goals, of course. Maradona, a Van Basten, not a prayer. Ruth Bullock will lose his hair. England wins off Roy last score. lift the trophy like Bobby Moore. World famous, king of the ball, the greatest soccer player of them all.
So that was Vulture Culture, Roy of the Rogers Rap. Any critical commentary there, Chris, for you?
It was all right. Wasn't that great. There's been better Wavelength segments.
I concur.
I think it was just the Panini thing, maybe that. But I didn't even hear anything about a Panini. Was he? It was the guy like trading stickers. I wasn't paying attention.
Did he go get a sandwich?
Not sure. But it's time for a different segment. Hopefully, more information than we got out of that song. It's BC Soccer Headlines. BC Soccer Web Headlines. Headlines brought to you by BC Soccer Web, where you get all your information, news, classifieds, if you want to find out what team you want to play for or looking for a team. And you can check them all. They all have their links to the sites. So check them out. Now, this week, we have a couple of follow-ups.
Wait, what's been catching your...
Oh, you want to ask me? Okay, if you want to ask me
What's been catching your fancy on the site this week? Stave?
I don't know if he does.
I don't know what
much.
accent that was. But.
I don't know either. But okay, so a couple of follow-ups. We talked about Infante, the FIFA president, going for...
Infantini?
Infantini, is that it? Whatever. But he's trying to shake up FIFA with that $25 billion offer.
Keep it down, Grimsby Town.
Yeah. $25 billion offer for a couple of things. The Nations League that we talked about before.
Right.
And the Club World Cup. Now, the Nations League, there are not going to be much changes to that. So that's just being a takeover kind of thing from UEFA and from CONCACAF, who were in charge of it. Looked like they were going to be in charge of it. But the Club World Cup is interesting. It would be in June. It would be in every 4 years, 2021, 2025, and so on. 24 teams into 8 groups of 3, 12 clubs from Europe, including the last 4 winners from the Champions League. So obviously 12 clubs from other parts of the world as well. What do you guys think of that? Is that just too much soccer at this point? Or can players handle that? Because that's a lot of wear and tear. And this is going to affect not only the Europe leagues, it's going to affect leagues from like CONCACAF who play on different schedules and everything. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's part of the modern football of like how you got to find new revenue streams. They're making lots of money. They think they can make more. How could you do it? You know, and it's always about bigger and more teams. Look at this stupid 48 team World Cup.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. It makes no sense to go with groups of 3. It's terrible for competition, for
sure.
But so that's what this is. In some ways, a little part of me is a little bit excited. Yeah, what would that be like? But I don't know how you weigh that with like what it'll do to the players who are involved in that. And
the thing is, right now nobody has eyes on those games because it's 4 teams. Maybe this is the reason why. Because it's
not 4 teams; it's 8.
Is it 8 teams in the show? I thought it was 4.
I think it's 8 or 6.
Oh, whatever.
I think it's 8.
Whatever it is. But there's not enough teams, and there's not enough big name teams, and I think that's why they're talking about the 12 teams from Europe because they want.
Typically, there's only 2 that people. The majority of people tune in for 2 teams: the South American champion, the Copa Libertadores holder, and the UEFA Champions League holder.
Yeah,
I concur with Zach. I'm excited about the League of Nations stuff, and I think that's really interesting, and it's going to get our ranking up. But I think this is actually leading towards a Super League. Without promotion and relegation, I think it definitely takes us in that trajectory.
Like a European kind of Super League or like a World Super League?
Yeah, probably European.
The one thing I'll say, too, about the players is, having followed Bayern for, a couple decades, there's always a huge drop-off when players come back from the Euro and the World Cup. Yeah. They're always, because they get extended leave, and so they don't join the team right away, and those players never start as well, and it's usually those are the years where Bayern isn't at their best, and other teams, take points from them, and there's more challenges for the titles, from my recollection.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So next thing, your Greek club Panathinaikos.
Panathinaikos. Pretty close.
Damn it, so close. Okay, well, they've been handed.
Chris only spelled it out for you phonetically.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that. I think it was sent to you only. They got a 1-year ban for European club, a European ban because the debt we talked about where the players were just getting December's pay. But it's if they qualify over the next 3 years kind of thing. So if they don't, right now I think they were sitting 8th. So obviously next year they're not going to qualify. But next time they qualify over the next 3 years, they will be banned from that for that 1 year. In news locally, CONCACAF has canceled their women's U17 tournament in Nicaragua because of extreme violence. It was one game played. I don't know if they're... I didn't get the chance to follow up on it, whether they're going to reschedule it to a different place. They'll most likely probably bring it to America, I'm assuming. Because
you'd think. They have a little bit of time because the World Cup's not until like November.
I think so, yeah.
It's too bad because Canada won their first game and it was like the thing got canceled the day before.
Maybe they could keep the results still. I don't know. Just to make it easier, but they probably won't. A team, this is an interesting story. A team in England, Gainsborough Trinity.
I love the Trinity.
They went 145. Their streak of 145 years without being relegated has ended. Now, of course, they've never been promoted. So they're hoping next year when they get promoted back, they'll break that streak as well. They're basically going to be going from the National League North, which is the 6th level in England, to the Northern Premier League, which is the 7th. And the only other times they've moved divisions is when everything's been reorganized. Other than that, they've never been relegated.
Up the Trinity.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Our friend Jonathan Tannenbaum, sorry. Even with people I know, I can't go. Fox, he wrote an article about how Fox is only sending 2 of their 6 commentary teams to Russia. Now, all of their studio personnel, reporters, they'll all be in Russia, but most of these guys will be doing play-by-play from a screen, which is a lot of people doing everywhere nowadays, especially for soccer for some reason.
I thought all the Fox stations were run from Russia.
Oh, you think they would get some kind of discount or something, right?
I guess I'm wrong. Yeah, but they're already there. That's why they're only sending 2.
A little news from World Cup 2026. There's going to be a second unplanned visit from a FIFA delegation to Morocco just to follow up on the other stuff that we talked about earlier. It seems like a lot of people are thinking that this is really to undermine Morocco. And then there was a Secretary General who was reported to the Ethics Committee because her name is Fatima Samora. She's related to former Liverpool forward El Hadji Diouf, who is part of the kind of ambassador to the Morocco bid. So it was unreported, and they feel like these kind of things they're really undermining the Morocco bid in order to secure the North American bid from Canada, U.S., and Mexico.
Oh man, like Chris, obviously we just hope let's just have this done without corruption. Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, it'd be lovely. That'd be awesome. What else do you want to do?
Man,
I don't think it's going to end, but at least things are getting reported, even if it's a stupid thing like this.
Yeah,
it makes you wonder what isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chris, have you watched Planet Football? Have you watched the documentary?
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
The U.S. House of Representatives have given overwhelming support to the 2026 United bid, 392-3. Don't know who the other three was.
3?
I don't know.
Let's find
out
who they are.
I was looking up. It wasn't listed in the article who was it. Now, another guy who has kind of is supporting Donald Trump is kind of supporting the bid. I'm not sure if it's in a positive way. He tweeted out, and I'm going to read the tweet. The U.S. has put together a strong bid with Canada and Mexico for the 2026 World Cup. It would be a shame if countries that we always support were to lobby against the U.S. bid. Why should we be supporting these countries when they don't support us, including at the United Nations? So it's like I said, it's a supportive tweet there, but I'm not sure if it's that supportive. If it might be more harmful.
Oh man!
And then
was that tweet from El Hadj Diouf, actually.
Maybe he hacked or something. Maybe Russians hacked Trump's Twitter there. FIFA did respond to the tweet. They said basically in a way that we shouldn't have governments being threatening or whatever.
That's one of FIFA's big things. If government gets involved,
Yeah,
you get in trouble.
what FIFA wants is governments to go away while they're doing the World Cup. That's the issue. So whatever.
No, but it's more than that. You can't have your government can't interfere with your FA, and if they do, then you lose your status with FIFA. So it's more than just about the World Cup stuff.
Yeah.
There's been a number of countries who have not been able to play in different things because, like little qualifying tournaments, whatever, because, like in CONCACAF, for example, there's been some countries that haven't been able to participate in, like, the Caribbean Cups and whatever, because their governments have stepped in and done stuff to their FA until that got...
I think Australia is having... We talked about Australia in the previous headline, so they're having major issues, and FIFA's had to step in and try to fix that as well.
Yeah, and that's FIFA's way of doing things. We could have a long debate if that's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But.
So that was headlines brought to you by BC Soccer Web.
We skipped the whole Canada section.
Oh, we talked about that during the Canada section.
Right.
We had a whole
the CPL. Yeah. Those are all CPL.
Yeah. So
let's talk more CPL.
That was headlines brought to you by BC Soccer Web, where you could get all your headlines, information, and classifieds with tweets, with links.
Chris, why don't you tell us about the shirt that you're wearing tonight?
Oh, Grimsby Town. Yeah, we have this funny little relationship with Grimsby because when we tweeted out GTFC back in 2015 to stand for Get the Effing Cup for winning the Voyageurs Cup, we won it, but then Grimsby Town FC started following everybody that was tweeting that out. And so we created this little relationship between a bunch of us in the South Side and Grimsby Town, and we kind of followed them through promotion out of the National League into League Two. And they have had a torrid season. Simeon Jackson plays for them, so there's a Canadian connection right there. He's playing on loan with them this season, came in the middle of the season. They didn't win a game between December and April, I think, or very few. There's been calls for the owner to get out. He's terrible for the club. Fired a coach, brought in a new guy, Jolly, to come in, and just secured survival in League Two. So it's we're sending props out to our friends at Grimsby Town, and it's up the Mariners and stay up the Mariners, and they can continue to play in the Football League next year.
This is why I always double check my hashtags before I use them, because you never know what you're going to get embroiled in and involved in. So, Chris, man, next time just check your hashtag.
I remember we had a couple of fun hashtags things that we done.
Yeah.
Danny
actually came up with that hashtag, but it's been beautiful. It's been a great relationship that's kind of evolved over the years between a few of us. We had Steve Cavanaugh was actually at Wembley when Grimsby got promoted.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it was amazing. So that's been fun.
I say that totally in jest.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's all about relationship, eh?
For real.
And that will bring the end of our relationship for this week. Episode 263 is in the books. Where can everybody find you guys at?
For me, it's on Twitter. It's at ZacharyAM, and I'm part of the Movement Curva Collective.
For me, Sailor C86. I'm in the Pigeon Loft with Pigeon Casuals in the South Side, and I'll be at Swan Guard with the Swan Guardians supporting Rovers again this summer.
There's a big event this week, right?
Yeah, we have the player launch. You can. It's actually public now. You can go on the Rovers website. May 3rd, so that's Thursday night. We're going to have both of our teams, men's and women's teams. Players will be there. Lots of Parallel 49 beer, and come and meet the parents and supporters of the best little Canadian club in the country.
Get out and support local football.
Yeah, man. All Canadian rosters.
And you can find me at Whitecaps Beat on Twitter, and you can find Michael, who's somewhere embedded in, like we said, Oregon coast.
He's wearing his best lumberjack outfit.
He can be found at AFTN Canada, and you can find our site at aftn.ca. Where you'll find all the articles from Chris. Zach, I don't know if you write anymore or not, or
on occasion.
Yeah, okay, on occasion, and all the other writers and everything like that. And obviously, you can find the podcast there, and stay tuned for the preview podcast, which will be maybe be up on Thursday because it is a Saturday game. We give him Michael an extra day to edit and everything like that, so he can actually edit instead of just putting it up. So that'll be it from us today. Thanks for Chris. Thanks to Zach for joining us. Thanks to everybody else for joining us. So in the meantime and in between time, that's another episode of the AFTN podcast.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. if you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
AFTN.